Hello, I'm Leslie Weston from Ann Arbor, Michigan, USA. I just want to first say, my husband Andy and I had such a nice time at the Lucy Maud Montgomery Biennial Conference in Prince Edward Island in June during the solstice. Such nice people and such wonderful literature that we spoke about with love. Well, I am going to read chapter 10 of The Magic for Marigold by Lucy Maud Montgomery, our beloved author. I will do it in two halves. The first will be with parts 1, 2, and 3, and then the second half, subsequently, will be 4, 5, and 6. Magic for Marigold, the bobbing of Marigold. Sylvia has bobbed her hair, said Marigold rebelliously. Grandmother sniffed, as Grandmother was apt to sniff at the mention of Sylvia, though since the day of Dr. Clow's visit, she had never referred to her, and the key to the magic door was always in the lock. But she only said, "Well, you're not going to have yours bobbed, so you can make up your small mind to that. In after years, you will thank me for it." Marigold didn't look or feel very thankful just then. Everybody had bobbed hair. Nancy and Beulah, who laughed at her long tails, and all the girls in school, and even Mrs. Donkin's scared-looking little home girl across the road. But she, Marigold Lesli, of Cloud of Spruce, had to be hopelessly old-fashioned because Grandmother so decreed. Mother would have been willing for the bob, though she may cry in secret about it. Mother had always been so proud of Marigold's silken fleece. But Grandmother! Marigold knew that this was hopeless. "Well, I don't know if we should do this," said Grandmother, not alluding to bobbed hair. "She has never been left home alone before. Suppose something should happen." "Nothing ever happens here," said Marigold pessimistically and untruthfully. Things happened right along, interesting things and beautiful things. But this was Marigold's blue day. She could not go with Grandmother and Mother and Salome to Great Aunt Jean's golden wedding because Aunt Jean's grandchildren had measles. Marigold did so much want to go see a golden wedding. "Well, you can get what you want for supper," said Grandmother, "but remember you are not to touch the chocolate cake. That is for the missionary tea tomorrow. Nor cut any of my Killarney roses. I want them to decorate my table." "Oh, have a good time, honey child," whispered Mother. "Why not ask Sylvia down to have tea with you? There are doughnuts in the cellar crock and plenty of hop-and-go-fetchits." But Marigold did not brighten to this. For the first time she felt a vague discontent with Sylvia, her fairy playmate of 3 dream years. "I almost wish I had a real little girl to play with," she said, as she stood at the gate, watching Grandmother and Mother and Salome drive off up the road, all packed tightly in the buggy. Poor Mother, as Marigold knew, had to sit on the narrow ledge of nothing. Perhaps this was a magic day. Perhaps the dark mind of the Witch of Endor, sitting at the gate-post, brewed up some kind of spell. Who knows? At all events, when Marigold turned in to look down the other road, the road that ran along the harbor shore to the big summer house hotel by the dunes, there was the wished-for little girl, standing by her very elbow and grinning at her. Marigold stared in amazement. She had never seen the girl before, or anyone just like her. The stranger was about her own age, possibly a year older, with ivory outlines, a wide green mouth, long, narrow green eyes, and little dark eyebrows like wings, bareheaded, with blue-black hair, beautifully bobbed, as Marigold instantly perceived with a sigh. She wore an odd, smart green dress with touches of scarlet embroidery, and she had wonderful, slim, white hands, very beautiful and very white. Marigold glanced involuntarily at her own sunburned little paws and felt ashamed. But the stranger had bare knees. Marigold had never seen this fashion before, and she was as much horrified as grandmother herself could have been. Who could this girl be? She had appeared so suddenly, so uncannily. She looked different in every way from the Harmony little girls. "Who are you?" she asked abruptly, before she realized that such a question was probably bad manners. The stranger grinned. "I'm me," she said. Marigold turned haughtily away. A Lesli of Cloud of Spruce was not going to be made fun of by any little nobody from nowhere. But the little girl in green twirled about on tiptoes till she was in front of Marigold once more. "I am Princess Varvara," she said. "I'm staying at the hotel down there with my Aunt Clara. My uncle is the Duke of Cavendish and Governor General of Canada. He is visiting the island, and today they all went down to visit Cavendish, because it was called after my uncle's great-great-grandfather. All except for Aunt Clara and me. She had a headache, and they wouldn't take me because there are measles in Cavendish. I was so mad I ran away. I wanted to give Aunt Clara the scare of her life. She's mild and gentle as a kitten, but, oh, such a darn tyrant. I can't call my soul my own. So when she went to bed with her headache, I just slipped off when Olga was waiting on her. I'm going to do as I like for one day anyhow. I'm fed up with being looked after." "What's the matter?" "You are telling a lot of fibs," said Marigold. "You are not a princess. There are no princesses in Prince Edward Island, and you wouldn't be dressed like that if you were a princess." Varvara laughed. There was some trick about her laugh. It made you want to laugh too. Marigold had hard work to keep from laughing, but she would not laugh. You couldn't laugh when somebody was trying to deceive you with such yarns. She must be one of the Americans down at the hotel, thought Marigold, and she thinks it's fun to fool a little silly down-easter like me if she can. But she can't. Imagine a princess having bare knees, just like Lazar's kids. "How do you think a princess should be dressed?" demanded Varvara. "In a crown and a velvet robe? Oh, you're silly. I am a princess. My father was a Russian prince, and he was killed in the Terror. Mother is English, a sister of the Duke's. We live in England now, but I came out to Canada with my Aunt Clara to visit Uncle." "I'm not a bad hand at making up things myself," said Marigold, and she had an impulse to tell this girl about Sylvia. Varvara shrugged her shoulders. "All right. You needn't believe me if you don't want to. All I want is somebody to play with. You'll do nicely. What is your name?" "Marigold Lesli." "How old are you?" 10. "How old are you?" Marigold was determined that the questions should not all be on one side. "Oh, I'm just the right age. Come, ask me in. I want to see where you live. Will your mother let us play together?" "Mother and grandmother have gone to Aunt Jean's golden wedding," explained Marigold, "and Salome was invited too, because her mother was a friend of Aunt Jean's. So I'm all alone." The stranger suddenly threw her arms around Marigold and kissed her rapturously on both cheeks. "How splendid! Let's have a good time. Let's be as bad as we like. Do you know, I think I love you. You are so pretty, prettier than I am, and I am the prettiest princess of my age in Europe." Marigold was shocked. Little girls shouldn't say things like that, even if you thought them. Sometimes, when you had your blue dress on, you shouldn't say them. But Varvara was talking on. "That sleek, parted gold hair makes you look like a saint in a stained-glass window. But why don't you have it bobbed?" "Grandmother won't let me." "Cut it off to spite her." "You don't know grandmother," said Marigold. She couldn't decide whether she really liked this laughing, tantalizing creature or not. But she was interesting. Oh, yes, she was interesting. Something had happened with a vengeance. Would she tell her about Sylvia? And take her up the hill? No, not yet. Somehow not yet. There was the nice little playhouse in the currant bushes first. What a darling spot, cried Varvara. But how do you play here all by yourself? I pretend that I am the Lady Gloriana Fitzgerald, and sit in the parlor and tell my servants just what to do. Oh, let me be the servant. I think it should be so much fun. Now you tell me what to do. Shall I sweep the floor? Marigold had no trouble telling Varvara what to do. She would show this young Yankee, who thought her soft enough to believe any old yarn, just what it was to be Marigold Lesli of Cloud of Spruce. They had a very good time for a while. When they got tired of it, they went to see the pigs. Varvara thought them very droll animals, and when they went picking raspberries in the bush behind the pig house. Varvara kept telling wonderful stories. Certainly, thought Marigold, she was a crackerjack at making up. But they suddenly found all their clothes filled with stick-tights, which was decidedly unpleasant. What would you think if I said damn? Demanded Varvara explosively. Marigold didn't say what she would think, but her face said it for her. Well, I won't, said Varvara. I'll just say lamb in the same tone, and that will relieve my feelings just the same. What berries are those? Eat some, and if they don't kill you, I'll take some too. You know, there is a kind of berry. If you eat them, you can see fairies and talk to them. I have been looking for them all my life. Well, these are not fairy berries. They are poisonous, said Marigold. I did eat some once, and they made me awful sick. The minister prayed for me in church, she concluded importantly. When I was sick, the Archbishop of Canterbury prayed for me, said Varvara. Marigold wished that she had made her minister the moderator at the General Assembly at least. Well, now let's go and sit on that seat in the orchard and pick these things out of our clothes, suggested Varvara, and play I see while we do, the game in which we will see the most beautiful, wonderful things. Oh, I see a china cat with diamond whiskers walking over the lawn. Oh, I see a bear with wings, said Marigold, who felt she could see things quite as marvelous as any girl from the States trying to pass herself off as a princess. I see 5 angels sitting in that apple tree. I see 3 little gray monkeys on a twisted bough with 4 moons rising behind them. Varvara drew her black brows together in a scowl. She didn't like being outseen. I see the devil squatting over there in your garden with his tail curled up over his back. Marigold was annoyed. She felt that she couldn't see anything more amazing than that. You don't, she cried. That person never comes into our garden. Varvara laughed scornfully. It'd be a more interesting place if he did. Do you know, confidentially, I pray for the devil every night. Pray for him? For him? Yes, I feel so sorry for him. Because he wasn't always a devil, you know. If he had been, I suppose he wouldn't mind it so much. There must be spells when he feels awfully homesick, wishing he could be an angel again. Well, we've got all these stick-tights out. What will we do now? Again, Marigold thought of introducing her to Sylvia. And again, for some occult reason, she postponed it. Well, let's go and fire potato balls. It's great fun. I don't know how to fire potato balls. What are they? I'll show you. Little tiny things like small green apples. You stick one on the point of a long switch and you whirl it. So, and then the potato ball flies through the air for miles. I hit Lazar in the face with one last night. Oh, my. Oh, but he was mad. Who is Lazar? our French hired boy. How many servants have you got? Just Lazare. Salome isn't really a servant. She's related to us. We had 50 before the Great Terror, said Varvara, and 8 gardeners. Our grounds were a dream. I can just barely remember them. Uncles are wonderful too. But I like your little garden and that house of currant bushes. Isn't it fun to sit and eat currants off your own walls? Well, where are your potato balls? Over there in Mr. Donkin's field. We must go up the orchard and along by the fence and... Why not cut straight across, said Varvara, waving her hand at Mr. Donkin's creamy green oats. But there's no path there, said Marigold. We'll make a path, said Varvara, and she made it, right through the oats. Marigold followed her, though she knew she shouldn't, praying that Mr. Donkin would not see them. Varvara thought firing potato balls the best sport ever. In her excitement, she fell half a dozen times over potato plants and got her dress in a fearful state in the wet clay a morning shower had left. And the potato ball juice stained her face and hands till she looked more like a beggar maid than like a princess. I never was dirty, real dirty in my life before. It's nice, she said complacently. Thank you.